Folks, if you're not born rich, or if you're not married to rich, and you want to be rich, you want to know how to be rich, we have a wonderful author, a very young man by the name of Ramit Sethi in our studios, and we welcome you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
You're very young to be writing a book, teaching people how to be rich. What motivated you to come up with this?
Well, it's true. I'm 26, but I think part of being rich is money. Part of it is being able to lead a rich lifestyle. So the reason I came up with the book was, I come from a very middle-class family, 6 people, 4 kids, and my parents told us, hey, you want to go to college, you have to get scholarships. So I applied to about 70 of them and got my first scholarship, $2,000. I took that money and invested it in the stock market, which was probably a bad idea because I lost half that money right away. And so that made me realize I better learn how money works so that I can not lose the rest of my money.
You're absolutely right. The first step of the ladder for success is failure. So you had your first, you are set up. So tell me, what is in your book?
Well, the book is a 6-week program, and I think the reason for that is very intentional. Every day we wake up, we can do a million things with our money. We can go out to dinner, we can pay off debt, we can tip extra or not, and we get overwhelmed. Inevitably, we do nothing. So what I want to do is cut through all that and say, look, 6 weeks. First, get your credit cards in order and fix your credit. 2, bank accounts. 3, set up your investment accounts, and then make it all work together so that it's working automatically and you can focus on the important things.
Well, one of the things you told me that you can pick up the phone, call folks, and you can actually reduce your cable bill to half, your credit card extra charges, you can have them waived. How do you go about it?
Well, that's one of my favorite tips in here, which is negotiate like an Indian, right? You know this, I know this, we all know it, but some of my friends don't know it at all. And this is great for people who say, well, I don't have that much money. What can I do? And actually, there's lots of money sitting on the table. You just have to go and get it. So one of the tips I talk about is late fees. If you get late fees from your credit card or bank, you call them up, you say, you use the scripts that I put in the book, literally just read them off and say, you know what, I had this fee, I'd like to get it removed. Boom, right there. At least half will get the fee removed. If they say no, I teach you how to escalate and get a little tougher. But you can use these tips for late fees, overdraft fees, getting your APR reduced even, which is saving hundreds of dollars a year, and cable and gym. There's a ton of ways you can use them.
In India, we call them kanjus. In English, it is called miser, and there are a number of other names with it. But what you are saying is you can be all of that and be hip, too.
Yeah. Well, first of all, there's a difference between being cheap and being frugal. We all know cheap people. They're the kind of people that you go out to dinner with. They'll order something for $12 and they'll put 13 in. And they need to put in 18, 19, 20 with tip. Those are cheap people. Frugal, or as I define it, rich, means you spend extravagantly on the things you love, but you have to cut costs mercilessly on the things you don't.
So you don't want to cut the latte in the morning. Starbucks still going to do well.
I hate that advice. Don't spend money on lattes. We've heard that for the last 50 years. It never works. We still want to buy our coffee in the morning, and that's fine. You shouldn't feel guilty about that. If you want to buy $300 jeans, fine. You just have to figure out how to save for that and how to make sure that you're cutting and earning more so that you can afford that. Spend on what you love, don't feel guilty, but make sure that you're handling your money automatically while you're sleeping.
You know what I say about a $300 jean? I don't mind, you buy it, but wear it for 6 years, make sure the cost of wearing it is 50 cents a day.
There you go, I love that, I love that. I got a phone, I have an iPhone, and before that I bought a very expensive phone. It was hundreds of dollars, but I keep that phone until it doesn't work anymore. I drive it into the ground. Cars, anything big, houses, I believe in spending top dollar for big purchases, but you have to amortize that cost over the long period.
Susie Arman has a wonderful show on CNBC, and I like it. Do you want to do something very similar to her, or do you do it through any other medium?
Well, I launched IWillTeachYouToBeRich.com about 5 years ago when I was a student at Stanford, and to me, that's really the centerpiece of it all. I have about 250,000 readers a month. So when I write something, any given day, thousands of people will see it, they'll comment, and I can have quick feedback. So I love that. I've done some TV, I like it, but I think fundamentally, I'm from Silicon Valley, I love the web. That's really what interests me.
Folks, those of you who actually have trouble with money and have plenty of loans, plenty of problems, block blog is the best place to go and seek his advice. Not only him, but maybe 20 other people have gone through exactly what you're going through and can actually help you.
Yeah.
Now, tell me a little bit more about the book that you've written.
Yeah.
What else is there?
So we've got the credit card. One of the things people don't realize is they focus on things that feel sexy, but not necessarily rich. So we worry about, I don't want to spend money on lattes in the morning, but you don't realize that credit is one of the biggest things you can focus on. For example, the difference between someone who has great credit and bad credit when you go to buy a house, over $6,000 a year.
Wow.
How many lattes does that equal, right? So what I try to do is focus on the things that matter, not the things that you can go brag about. So we've got credit. I teach you how to set up the right accounts. A lot of times we have these banks and credit cards that gouge us.
Yes.
Everything. I hate all the banks and credit cards as much as you.
Yes.
And so what I've done is study how to beat them. And I practice it myself. So I show you the best accounts that I recommend. Then, and I think this is one of the most important things, making it automated so that you don't have to wake up every day and send money to a savings account or send money to pay off bills. It should happen automatically so that, let's just pretend you get a paycheck of $100, right? If I said to you, where does your $100 paycheck go? Most people say, I don't know. At the end of the month, they look at the bills, they say, I guess I spent that much.
Yeah.
What I teach is, the next $100, maybe $5 goes to a 401k, maybe $5 goes to a savings account, and maybe within there you're saving up for a trip to India. Maybe you're saving up for a down payment. So it's all automated. And then by the time it gets down to you, you can spend it guilt-free because you know that you've already handled the rest of it.
You know, one of the things people suggested that you need to have envelopes.
Yeah.
And you put your money in the envelopes. What do you think of that?
Enveloping is a great system, especially for people that want a short-term solution if they have a spending problem. So if you just find that you're spending more than you make, which, by the way, is really common, then this is a short-term solution, and I show you in the book with a diagram. You literally set up, let's say, 4 or 5 envelopes. Pick your biggest categories. Eating out. For young people, it's often eating out, going out, rent. Pick those. Put cash in it at the beginning of the month. And what you say is, when the cash is gone from the envelope, that's it. Okay, so if you have $300 to go out that month and you spend $300, that's it. Or you can take money out from another envelope, but you probably don't want to take your rent money and put it for your going out. So that's a short-term solution. Long-term, you want to actually automate it so that you don't have to manually do cash and stuff. Because the point of being rich is that nobody wants to be a personal finance expert. We just want our money to work for us so we can go and live our lives.
And you're a young man. You probably go on a date. Do the girls call you a cheap date?
No way. I mean, if let me put it this way, if dating is important to you, then by the time you get to the date, you should have your money all handled, right? Which means you should have a sub-savings account for dating where you put $100, $200, $500 a month, whatever it is in there. You should be cutting down on other things, okay? And you should know that, hey, dating's important to me. I'm not going to scrimp on this. I'm going to spend extravagantly. But at the same time, maybe I'm going to earn a little bit more by being a consultant. Or maybe I'm going to cut down on something else so that I can have a rich experience doing this.
You know, on the other side of this coin is making money.
Yeah.
Now, do you also teach them how to make money?
Yeah. That's one thing that we always forget. And we say, I can't cut and cut and cut anymore. And my take is, no, you can't. You can't out-frugal your way to being rich, right? So you got to earn more. And the easiest way is to become a consultant. This is very simple. It sounds intimidating, but if you can speak English, there's probably someone that will hire you to teach their child that, sometimes for $15, $20, $25 an hour. Right there, you have an extra $200, $500 a month. That's money you can use for investing or saving.
Fantastic. Now, you were number 9 on the bestsellers list on New York Times. You've been written up in San Francisco Chronicles, and of course, you've been going around the country. Other than Stanford, where else have you been?
Well, I'm based in San Francisco. I've been going on a pretty big media tour, which is a great experience to meet people in different cities. I've been all the West Coast. I'm now here on the East Coast, and I'm a product of Silicon Valley. So, I started a tech company out there. And I'm very much, a guy from the web, which is what I love because my readers, who are typically in their 20s or 30s, they're on the web as well. So it's a great experience where we can interact. And now that I'm going on tour, I actually email them and say, hey, I'm going to be in D.C. today. Let's meet up. And it's a great experience. I get to meet people. I take little videos of them. And we get to have that real-world experience, too.